Good morning, Paul and Bhargav. It's Tuesday, the 18th of April. Here's the heads up for today. For the Southeast Asia production, we covered 20 issues. North Asia, we covered 7, and for Australasia and the Pacific Islands, we also covered 7. In South Asia, we covered 15 issues, plus the major issues in Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
So Taiwan has purchased 400 US land-launched Harpoon missiles in response to the growing threat from China. The deal is worth over $1 billion US. Now, according to the recently leaked US military documents, China can easily gain air superiority over Taiwan in event of a conflict breaking out.
I think it's very interesting that that's come out of the leaked US documents. Obviously, America's setting up air bases in the Philippines and hoping to use those, even though Philippines has said they're not to be used for that purpose. Also, the fact that they've just got such a superior aircraft carrier capability, but they're actually acknowledging in that leaked documents that China has the advantage of being their massive country, massive air force, and it's right there. So it's actually interesting that those documents have stated that. Thank you.
In Papua and Indonesia, rescue operations are ongoing in Nduga. The Indonesian military has said that 4 soldiers returned to their posts after the attack on the weekend. Authorities are still not clear about what the casualty toll is, and they've given conflicting statements. And they also seem to be downplaying the incident in which it seems that 6 to 9 people, Special Forces soldiers were killed and dozens of others were detained or missing.
Yes, and look, I don't know that they were all Special Forces. Certainly, though, the information we got direct prior to the shutting down of phone signals and the obfuscation of the information coming out, there's a massive conflict there. So typically in Indonesia, this is what they do. It's a lot easier to shut down phone towers, put out misinformation and murky the waters than it is to build a competent military that can protect its own bases and operate appropriately like you'd expect military to operate. This certainly shows that the security paradigm's advancing quite rapidly. I mean, allegedly there were 60-odd TPNP militants involved in this particular attack. The fact that, it's confirmed that at least 6 were killed, probably closer to 9 or 10 soldiers. The fact that they can attack a military base that's supposed to be in there to dominate. But of greater concern is the amount of burning of churches and houses in 19 villages, which is empowering Papuans to support the TPNPB. And the TPNPB is not popular because they extort Papuans and they threaten and they act like psychopaths do. But unfortunately, the overreaction by the Indonesian force and the fact that they haven't been able to get on top of the OPM or the TPNBB is because they act in such an inappropriate way that are turning the tide of thoughts against them. And after 50 years, they're distrusted for acting in a manner that kills people, breaks human rights, destroys families. So they haven't learned anything from the Timor tragedy. Indonesian government, they haven't learned anything from their 50 years in Papua. And they're doing everything to show that, 1, they're unprofessional and vulnerable as a military force, but 2, they're not actually getting, if you act with great discrimination and you take resources, you're never going to win a security battle when there's such a large population. Even though they've tried to dilute it, it's still roughly 50% Indigenous Papuans. Back to you, mate.
In Thailand, authorities are anticipating a surge of new COVID cases following the recent New Year's celebrations.
Thank you.
In French Polynesia, a pro-independence party won the first round of their territorial elections. It secured 35% of the votes, while the current ruling party got 30%. The runoff will be held on the 25th of April with 3 parties.
Thank you.
In South Asia, in Pakistan, the political deadlock continues despite attempts of talks between the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz and the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. The government is still trying to arrest Imran Khan, who claims there will be another police operation against him in Lahore around Eid. And the government and the Supreme Court have also been at loggerheads with each other over the Supreme Court's refusal to delay the elections.
I do not see how the political deadline will end anytime soon, especially given the history of political strongmanship, especially by the ruling Muslim League as well as People's Party. We need to understand Imran Khan is an outsider. He committed an immortal crime by challenging and breaching the power bastion. And he also sent the previous Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif to prison. So I do not see how the ruling parties will pull any punches or they will compromise anytime soon. So I see a continued deadlock between the opposition and the ruling parties. As far as judicial stance is concerned, judiciary in Pakistan has stood strong against both the army and the political parties. I would hope they do the same and they'll hold the elections as they have declared.
Right. Also in Pakistan and Islamabad, authorities have extended the deployment of the Army Rangers for 6 months over security concerns.
That doesn't come as a surprise. I wouldn't expect anything less, especially with the army trying to ensure they retain data control as much as possible.
In Nepal, the Supreme Court issued an arrest warrant against the former managing director of the Nepal Oil Corporation yesterday. He has been skipping hearings and authorities have uncovered him properties worth 2 million under his or other names.
All right, thanks.
In Europe, tensions are rising over the Black Sea grain deal, which was a UN-brokered initiative with Russia in Ukraine last year that allowed the export of Ukrainian grain through the Black Sea. Russia has blockaded Ukrainian ports, but allowed exports of grain out to prevent global food crisis. Moscow has said that the prospects of renewing the deal are not too bright at the moment. If the deal doesn't go through, there could be a large spike in global food prices and lots of upward inflationary pressures.
So I really wonder who actually benefits from not compromising and coming to the negotiation table with Moscow. Moscow has given enough concessions, as you mentioned, Uday. They had allowed such shipments before. So if NATO doesn't really push for similar settlement, it's only going to hurt people who are in dire need of global food supply, especially those in Africa. Paul, any comments on these?
No, not on that. Thank you.
Thanks. That's the brief for today. Anything else from you, Paul and Bhargav?
Nope.
None from me. Thanks.